Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, and you're listening to Alex's News. The temperature in Riverside is set to soar today, with a high of 104.6 degrees and a low of 72.7. Be sure to stay cool and hydrated in this extreme heat. Coming up on Alex's News, we'll examine the impact of Hurricane Helene's devastating toll on first responders. We'll also explore how the ongoing dockworkers strike could affect U.S. trade and consumer prices. And in Alaska, we'll look at how a tragic bear attack has cast a shadow over the popular Fat Bear Week event. Stay tuned for these stories and more. We begin our broadcast today with a somber report on the devastating impact of Hurricane Helene. Joining us now is our correspondent Ethan with more details on this tragic story. Ethan, can you give us an overview of the situation?
Certainly, Grace. Hurricane Helene has proven to be one of the deadliest storms in U.S. history, leaving a trail of destruction across 6 states. According to reports from AP News and ABC News, the hurricane has claimed over 150 lives in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. What's particularly heartbreaking is the loss of several first responders who died while trying to save others during this catastrophe.
That's truly devastating, Ethan. Can you tell us more about these brave first responders who lost their lives?
Of course, Grace. In South Carolina, we lost 2 firefighters from Saluda. Chad Satcher, a 53-year-old veteran fire chief with 35 years of service, and Landon Bodie, an 18-year-old firefighter just starting his career, were killed when a falling tree struck their fire engine as they responded to a building fire.
What a terrible loss. It's especially tragic to hear about young Landon Bodie, who was just beginning his career in service.
Absolutely, Grace. The storm also claimed the life of Sheriff's Captain Michelle Quintero in Florida. According to local news outlets, the 48-year-old, who ran the Madison County Jail, was killed when she was caught in floodwaters after a dam broke while she was driving to work. Colleagues remembered her for her dedication and fairness to everyone, including inmates and juveniles.
These stories are heart-wrenching, Ethan. Were there other first responders affected?
Unfortunately, yes. In North Carolina, Deputy Jim Lau of Macon County lost his life when his truck was swept away by an overflowing river during his lunch break. His body was found the next morning after an extensive search operation involving rescue workers, drones, and swift water teams.
The dangers these first responders face are truly sobering. Were there any other notable incidents?
Indeed, Grace. In Georgia, Vernon Leon Davis, a 69-year-old veteran firefighter with 30 years of service and assistant fire chief in Blackshear, died when a tree fell on his vehicle. The storm also claimed civilian lives, including Stephen Dunhu, 72, and his 10-year-old great-grandson Isaac Dunhu in Augusta, Georgia, when a tree fell on their home.
This is truly heartbreaking, Ethan. How are communities responding to these losses?
The impact has been profound, Grace. Many communities are expressing their condolences through social media and local statements. This tragedy has highlighted the extreme dangers faced by emergency personnel during severe weather events and the devastating impact of hurricanes on communities in their path.
Can you tell us about the rescue efforts that have been underway?
Certainly. Rescue operations have been incredibly challenging due to the storm's intense winds, flooding, and other hazardous conditions. Swift water teams, drones, and other specialized equipment have been deployed to locate missing individuals and assist those in need. However, these efforts have been highly dangerous and complex, posing significant challenges to first responders and emergency services.
Thank you, Ethan, for this comprehensive and sobering report on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Our thoughts are with all those affected by this tragedy.
Thank you, Grace. It's a difficult time for many communities, and we'll continue to follow this story as it develops.
We appreciate your reporting, Ethan. This has been story 1 of 3 in our morning news segment. We turn now to a developing story that could have far-reaching economic consequences. A major dockworkers strike has begun at ports along the U.S. East Coast and Gulf Coast. For more on this, we're joined by our reporter Chloe. Chloe, can you give us an overview of the situation?
Certainly, Grace. As of yesterday, October 1st, the International Longshoremen's Association, or ILA, which represents about 45,000 dockworkers, has gone on strike. This is affecting 36 U.S. ports from Maine all the way down to Texas. According to AP News, this is the first such strike since 1977, making it a significant event in labor history.
That's quite a long time. What are the main issues driving this strike?
The key issues here are wage increases and automation. The ILA is demanding a 77% pay raise over 6 years, while the United States Maritime Alliance has offered a 50% raise over the same period. Additionally, the union is pushing for a total ban on automation of cranes, gates, and container-moving trucks.
Those are substantial demands. How might this strike impact the U.S. economy?
The potential economic impact is considerable, Grace. According to projections from J.P. Morgan, the strike could cost the economy between $3.8 billion and $4.5 billion each day. Some estimates even suggest the cost could be as high as $4.3 billion to $7.5 billion per week, potentially reducing annualized GDP by 0.1 percentage points.
Those are staggering figures. Which ports are being affected? And what kinds of goods typically pass through them?
The strike is impacting major ports including Baltimore, Brunswick, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Boston, New York/New Jersey, Norfolk, Wilmington, Charleston, Savannah, Tampa, Mobile, and Houston. These ports handle a wide range of goods, from autos and fruits to chemicals and wood products. It's worth noting that nearly 70% of U.S. exports and 56% of containerized U.S. imports pass through these East Coast and Gulf Coast ports.
That's a significant portion of our trade. How might this affect consumers, especially with the holiday season approaching?
Well, Grace, while most holiday retail goods have already arrived, a prolonged strike could lead to shortages and higher prices for various consumer goods. The toy industry is particularly concerned, as up to 60% of their annual sales occur during the fourth quarter. There's also potential for broader supply chain disruptions. Analysts estimate that even a one-week shutdown could result in 4 to 6 weeks of recovery time.
That's worrying. How are businesses preparing for this?
Many businesses are implementing contingency plans, such as securing orders early, shifting shipments to West Coast ports, and increasing inventory. However, there are concerns that West Coast ports may not be able to fully absorb the redirected economic activity.
What about the government's response? Is there any plan for intervention?
As of now, President Biden has indicated he doesn't plan to intervene using the 1947 Taft-Hartley Act, which could impose an 80-day cooling-off period. He's cited his belief in collective bargaining as the reason for this stance.
Thank you, Chloe, for that comprehensive report. We'll certainly be keeping a close eye on this developing situation.
You're welcome, Grace. As this strike continues, we'll likely see more pronounced impacts on the U.S. economy, supply chains, and consumer prices across various industries.
Thank you again, Chloe, for that insightful report. Here are some other headlines. A devastating road crash in southern Turkey has claimed at least 10 lives. The incident occurred on a major highway, though details about the cause are still emerging. In U.S. politics, the recent vice presidential debate between Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was marked by several false and misleading claims from both candidates. Fact-checkers highlighted inaccuracies on topics ranging from immigration to economic policies. The town of Butler, Pennsylvania, is preparing for Donald Trump's return following a shocking assassination attempt during a rally in July. The incident left one supporter dead and 2 others injured, deeply affecting the close-knit community. The Biden administration has shifted its stance on the Israel-Hezbollah conflict. After initially pressing for a ceasefire, the U.S. is now supporting Israel's military actions against Hezbollah, while criticizing Iran's missile strikes on Israel. In the West Bank, Palestinians are risking their lives to cross Israel's separation barrier illegally, seeking employment opportunities amid a failing economy. The barrier has significantly impacted Palestinian livelihoods and access to basic services. As the Jewish High Holy Days coincide with the anniversary of the October 7th Hamas attack, U.S. Jewish communities are experiencing a particularly challenging and emotionally charged period. Synagogues are planning special services to address the complex feelings of grief and resilience. We're turning our attention now to a unique annual event that's been capturing hearts and votes across the globe. I'm talking about Fat Bear Week at Alaska's Katmai National Park. Here to tell us more about this year's contest is our reporter Ethan. Ethan, what can you tell us about Fat Bear Week 2024?
Thanks, Grace. Fat Bear Week is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, but it's off to a somber start. The contest, which was set to begin yesterday, October 1st, faced an unexpected delay due to a tragic incident at the park.
Oh no, what happened?
According to park officials, there was a deadly bear-on-bear attack in the Brooks River. Bear number 469, a male, attacked and killed bear number 402, a female. This unusual incident was captured on live-streamed video, serving as a stark reminder of the wild nature of these animals.
That's certainly a tragic start to the event. Will the contest still proceed?
Yes, it will. Despite this setback, the park has decided to move forward with the contest. Public voting begins today and will continue until October 8th, which is 6 days from now. The contest features 12 bears competing in a single elimination format.
Can you explain how the voting works for those who might not be familiar with the contest?
Certainly. Fans can vote online for their favorite bears in a tournament-style bracket. The bears are paired up in head-to-head matchups, and the bear receiving the most votes in each pairing advances to the next round. Last year's contest was incredibly popular, drawing nearly 1.4 million votes from over 100 countries, according to reporting from CNN.
That's quite a following. What's the purpose behind Fat Bear Week?
Well, Grace, while it's certainly entertaining, Fat Bear Week serves multiple purposes. It raises awareness about the bear's natural behavior, their habitat, and the ecosystem they inhabit. The contest showcases the significant weight gain of these bears during their pre-hibernation feeding frenzy.
How much weight do these bears typically gain?
It's quite impressive. According to information from the Columbian, adult male brown bears typically weigh between 600 to 900 pounds in midsummer, but can exceed 1,000 pounds by the time they hibernate. The bears in Katmai can gain up to 500 pounds during the summer and early autumn months. They achieve this by consuming large quantities of salmon, ascent, up to 120 pounds in a single day.
That's an incredible amount of weight gain. How does this event impact conservation efforts?
The popularity of Fat Bear Week has had a positive impact on conservation efforts in the region. It has increased public engagement and awareness about brown bears and their conservation needs. However, there are some concerns about potential desensitization to the true nature of conservation due to constant accessibility and public attention.
That's an interesting point. Are there any measures in place to protect the bears during this event?
Yes, there are. The National Park Service and event organizers adhere to a non-intervention policy, ensuring that the bear's interactions and behaviors remain as natural as possible. While the event brings significant focus to the bears, park officials take steps to minimize direct impacts on the bear's natural behavior and habitat.
That's good to hear. Is there anything else our viewers should know about Fat Bear Week?
Yes, for those interested in following along, fans can watch the bears fishing on live cams at explore.org. The event also includes online chats and live streams featuring naturalists and rangers discussing the bears and the ecosystem of Katmai National Park. And for those who love the cubs, there's even a Fat Bear Jr. competition, with Bear 909 Jr. taking the top spot this year.
Thank you, Ethan, for that comprehensive look at Fat Bear Week 2024. It's certainly an event that combines entertainment with important conservation awareness.
You're welcome, Grace. It's always a pleasure to share news about this unique and educational event.
And that wraps up our final story for today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King, with Claude Sonnet 3.5, the Perplexity API, and the Google Cloud Text-to-Speech API. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.